Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 18 of our meditation course. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about chronic stress and the physiological effect that stress has in your body. Stress is not just a feeling. Stress actually has impact in your health, emotional and physical. And it has actually a cascade effect in your body organs and in a lot of areas in your life. Now, while we were learning different tools to anchor ourselves for meditation, we were actually learning tools to self regulate. We can give our brain signals, and our brain acts accordingly depending to the signal. So when we live in a constant state of stress, our brain and our body is in a constant fight or flight state, and this has long lasting effects on different organs in your body. And as we know, some organs produce different hormones that go to different other parts of our body and that have a really big negative impact in our body. Now, to explain this to you in a little bit more of a visual way, because I am also very visual and I actually use this with children, I want to use a model of Dr. Daniel Siegel from UCLA. He actually developed this model of the brain in his hand. So I believe he calls it the brain in the palm of your hand. And I use this with children so that they get an idea of how the brain is working when they are getting emotional, when they're stressed, and when any of those negative emotions, fear, anxiety, worriness, etc., pop into and take over and take them for a ride, children or adults. So I want you to imagine that this is your brain. And if you imagine that this is your brain, this would be the spinal cord. And the spinal cord is what connects your spine to your brain stem and to basically to your brain. So your brain is connected to your spine through the spinal cord. And then in this area here, we have the limbic part of your brain. And we also have your brain stem. And the brainstem and the limbic systems are the ones that are in charge of all the autonomic things that your body and brain do, like breathing, swallowing, all the things that you don't have to do, that your body is doing in automatic mode. But there's also another part in your brain that is called the amygdala, and this little almond shape organ or structure that's in your body, it's the one that is in charge of acting or reacting. It's the one that puts you in survival mode, which is a good thing because it's the one that makes you react when you're going to cross the street and you hear a horn or a honk, or the one that makes you jump when there's a bark and you're walking by. So it's actually the one that protects you. It's the one that tells you you're in danger, you need to run, you need to freeze, you need to fight. But sometimes when we are stressed at work, just with everyday life and situations, we are in a constant state of stress, and it is the amygdala, the one that's sending those signals. And that amygdala also sends signals. If you remember, we talked about the pineal gland and cortisol and serotonin and all of that. So they work together to help your body understand when you need to survive or when you are safe. So if you imagine that this is the spinal cord, the limbic area of your brain, and the brain stem, and you imagine that this is the amygdala, I want you to imagine that your fingers are the cortex of your body. And the cortex is the higher part of the outer part of your body, of your brain. And then I want you to imagine that these fingers over here, this is your brain, these fingers over here are your prefrontal cortex, your PFC. And your prefrontal cortex is the one that is in charge of planning and regulating and thinking, the one that keeps you in check. So I want you to imagine that when your prefrontal cortex is in control, you are calm, you're at peace. And when you flip your lid, like Dr. Siegel calls it, your amygdala takes control. And that is most of the times because we don't have the tools to keep our prefrontal cortex or PFC in charge of our reactions mostly. When you are meditating, what you're doing is you are training your prefrontal cortex to be in control. Because if something gets your attention and you're able to notice and be aware of that and bring yourself back, you are doing a training for self regulation, for readjustment, for reconditioning. And then you learn to observe rather than to react. Now, when you are living in a chronic state of stress and you don't have the tools to bring yourself back, um, the impact on your health over time is huge. When you're doing little exercises every day to not react to the email that you receive or the comment that was passive aggressive or the person that jumped ahead of you in line or the your husband not telling you a compliment for the efforts that you did to cook a special meal, etc. And when you train yourself to think about those things or have those thoughts or emotions and then release them and let them go, then you are training yourself to improve and enhance your health. Um, so, what we've been doing is that training basically. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a 5 minute meditation. And in that 5 minute meditation, we are going to use our emotions and sensations to bring ourselves back and anchor ourselves. Sometimes an emotion starts taking over, and there is no way that you can use sounds, breathing, or other things to anchor you back to the present moment. And so, what we're going to learn today is how to acknowledge the emotions, label them, and then bring our focus back to something else. And that back and forth is the training that's going to help you over time if you continue with your practice to get better at avoiding reacting, living in a constant state of stress, and the overacting of the amygdala and not allowing the amygdala to take control so that we're not constantly flipping our lid over small things that we could potentially let go. I will not teach you a new breathing technique for the last 3 sessions, including today, because what I'll do is I'll share in other 2 videos the other 2 breathing techniques that I wanted you to learn so that then you can just access that breathing technique on demand and you don't have to watch this video again. Hopefully you have learned enough tools that you can work on your meditation every day and start increasing the time of it, okay? So please get comfortable, and you're just going to be using your diaphragmatic breathing so that you are activating your vagus nerve and that you are telling your amygdala that you are safe, secure, and that it is time to rest and digest because you're in a calm state. Okay, so we're going to do our 5 minute meditation. I will guide this meditation just to give you another tool. So just be ready to listen and to learn. Okay, here we go. Close your eyes and let's get started. Arrive into this moment of stillness willingly and voluntarily. Connect with your breath. Observe the pattern and then let it go. Scan your body to make sure that your body is comfortable and it feels stable, held, and safe. Your back is straight, your shoulders are relaxed, and rather than trying to control how you feel, you leave that task to your breath and you inhale and you exhale deeply. Now, I invite you to start connecting with the sensations in your body. I want you to pause, and after you take a deep breath, you let your attention travel to any part of your body that has a sensation. It might be a texture that you feel from your clothes. It might be some tightness in a certain part of your body. It might be pain, perhaps. It might just be itchiness, maybe nervousness on your legs. But it could also just be stillness. And observe. You might label the sensation by saying rubbing or throbbing or itching. You might be able to just observe the sensation and then move on to a different part of your body. Allow for that to happen organically. Just let your attention be pulled as a magnet to a different part of your body. It might be a vein in your forehead. It might be your throat as you swallow saliva. It might be your socks on your toes. And again, observe. Observe that sensation. Label if it helps you. And then put it in a cloud and let it go. Now I want you to observe an emotion. You might have one that you're feeling right now. But if you're not feeling any emotions, I invite you to imagine a moment in your life that you have just recently lived. It doesn't matter what type of moment. And rather than thinking about the objects or the people in that moment, I want you to just observe the emotion. Label it. And pay attention to where in your body you feel it. And with your last few breaths, I want you to exhale that emotion and let it go. With every exhalation, that emotion is moving further and further away from you. And you're coming back to this moment, here and now. And as you start to close this meditation, wiggle your fingers and toes, rotate your shoulders, shake a little bit, open your eyes gently. Take a big inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. I hope that you gain some knowledge today that is going to convince you even further of the benefits of meditation, and that you're going to continue to practice these not only during your meditation practice, but in real life on your everyday challenges. I want you to remember to keep your power and not allow other people or external objects and things to ruin your day, and instead to just worry or just do what you're meant to do in the moment, and allow others to control themselves and control your emotions and your feelings. And I want to change that, rather than controlling, to manage your responses and to choose how to deal with situations. um, we don't always have to have the last word. We don't always have to correct people when they're wrong. We don't have to answer to passive aggressive people. um, you have the power, so keep it. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow for session 19. Thank you. Bye bye.